Previously on Pretty Little Liars.
I think they can get majority relatively easy. And she has an idol. Like, what? That's ideal.
I think the not, you trick ass bitch.
Blindside. Hello everyone, my name is Mike. Welcome to Mike's Mike. We're doing a week 8 Australian Survivor recap and low-key power rankings. But before we get into that, as usual, have a couple of things to say. I'm sorry for not putting the sports bet spoiler signal in for the last video. I know a couple of people got annoyed at that. My bad. I just forgot. I wasn't being malicious or anything. I just forgot. And the next thing is I was watching on 10 Play the last 3 episodes, just like quickly skimming through so I could remember key points. And I know I've mentioned this before, but that website is absolutely atrocious. And I tried to skip like a couple of, 20 minutes, and it played like 10 ads in a row. It's just stupid. So, yep, give me a like for going through a lot of turmoil. And the last thing I wanted to say is I'm not entirely sure why I'm dressed like an incredibly white 90s rapper, but that's what it is, and that's what we're going with. So, to summarize my feelings towards Sunday's episode, I thought I'd play a little tune for you. Dun, 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 dun. No, how does it go? Dun, 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 dun. 'Cause you had a bad day. We had the merge, and I wrote merge in capitals, and the rest of the notes are not in capitals, so for some reason I thought that I would forget that there was a merge. But to be honest, when I was reading through my notes and I saw that it was the merge, I was kind of like, what? It feels like they merged like a decade ago. It feels like they merged in the 90s. On Sunday's episode, it really started a trend for Jericho, and that trend is war.
This is where the war really happens. It's fighting against royal knights. When you're a part of this war, you know that you're one of the badasses that you wanted to be.
Old mate Tessa won the reward challenge on Sunday night, and that was a merge, rejuvenation, package. And she was thinking, hell yeah, I'm gonna get that fresh glow up into the merge. Everybody's gonna be jelly. I'm gonna be sitting in that jury council. But then it turns out that old mate Jonathan had a little something to say, and he was like, okay, Tessa, you can either be a little bitch and take the rejuvenation package for yourself, or you could be Saint Tessa and give everyone else letters from home. And of course, like, if you were Tessa, you could either take the rejuvenation package and be hated and voted off, or take the letters and then everyone be like, you're a real one, and then not vote her out. Ziggy won individual immunity, and the vibe that we had going into Tribal Council was that the Samatau squad was voting for Luke, right? But when they were going into Tribal Council, I was kind of like, Luke's had almost no pre-tribal confessionals, and if you watch that episode back, he really doesn't. So it doesn't really make sense that he would get booted. So as soon as that kind of happened, I was like, I sense a blindside. One thing that we did get leading into Tribal Council was Michelle saying to Tessa that she felt like she wasn't being included in all the alliance chat, and Tessa was like, yeah, it's true. It's because you came in last, Michelle. You're kind of at the bottom. Tessa, girl, what are you doing? So based off of that, Michelle flipped her vote, and so did Lockie, and they voted for Jared, which meant Jared left. And also, can I just say, is it that hard to spell Jared? Like, we had J-A-R-R-O-D, we had J-A-R-A-D, we had J-A-R-R-E-D, we had J-A-R-R-A-D. Like, honestly, are they voting for the same person? Maybe there's 4 Jareds on the tribe by the looks of it. Maybe they voted out the wrong one. Who knows? You could just get that vibe that something was going to go wrong when they were reading out the votes, and it was like, Lucky, 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 and then the music's like dun 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 dun, and then all of a sudden Jarod, and you're like shit, and then it's Jared, and you're like shit, and then it's like Gerard, and you're like shit, and then I'm just sitting there like, save me. Alright, so Monday's episode, old mate Henry won immunity. That was that challenge when they got all like scrappy in the dirt and that to climb through the pillars and shit, and I was just watching Henry like fling himself over the pole, and I'm like, boy, you're gonna get dizzy. And then I'm so lame. So I think the final 3 that made it through to the last, wow, that was a tongue twister and a half. I think the final 3 that made it through to the last round of the immunity challenge were Lockie, Henry, and Jericho. I wanted Jericho to win that. I'm a Jericho stan now because of all the war references. Have you guys seen Dunkirk? because if you hadn't, you should, because Jericho gives a really good performance in that movie of what war is really like. Next thing that I want to say about Monday's episode is I'm never eating jam again. Jam is cancelled. Jam as a concept, you know, look, I did some research about where jam came from, you know, the background of, you know, you got your sugar, you got your fruit, you reduce it down and you get a jam. Jam is cancelled. Jam, I'm like assuming that based on the outcome of that episode, jam production has ceased because everyone is pissed off. When Luke, Henry and Jericho were eating the jam and it was like pitch black, I was like, yes, this is some funny shit. And then the next day, Henry's like, I'm gonna frame this on Annalise. And I was like, excuse me? I kind of felt like that Vine where the guy's like talking about his free taco. He's like, I got that free taco.
Hey, yo, you know this, boy, he's got his free taco.
And he drops it on the floor and he's like really sad. That's literally me in that episode. I was kind of like, yes, Annalise is gonna go far. And the jam thing happened and I was like, based on this bitch ass edit, she's gonna go home, isn't she? Everyone was like, oh, I think Annalise ate the jam. You know, I heard it was Annalise that ate the jam. I think we should vote out Annalise. Strawberry who? Blueberry who? I don't know them jams. The only jams I know are the jams that I write as a 90s uber white rapper. And then we started getting the action of Ziggy being like, I think I want a meat shield, which means she wants to keep Henry and Lockie because they kind of deflect off her because she's a physical threat, which is 100% true. And she figured that if she has other people who are also physical threats, they'll get voted out before she does. In principle, it's an okay strategy. But from our point of view, watching it happen, it was kind of like, oh, no. But if you think about it, from her perspective, she could either stay in an alliance that ship was sinking, or she could jump to another ship that would sink in the future. But let's be real, all these ships are sinking. So we go to Tribal Council, and it's all spicy, and everyone's like, oh, what's going to happen? And the music's like, and you're like, okay, there's going to be some idol action here. So Annalise plays her idol, and I'm like, yes, Annalise. Annalise is like, yes, Annalise. And she's like, I got that taco. And then Ziggy's like, hold on a second, Jonathan, I got a little something to say. And then at that moment, I was just like, Ziggy, you're cancelled. As a Stanalise, that Tribal Council hurt me. And mainly because the girl with the pearl earring is there no more. But also because I was kind of like, what's happening to my Summertown squad? What a way to go, though. Like, Ziggy thought you were that much of a threat that she had to use her super idol to get rid of you. Like, Annalise shouts out, I'm a Stanalise forever and always. So in the end, it was kind of like, blindside. But also not really, because the ad said that Ziggy was going to use her super idol, and you're kind of like, on who? There's only two people who have idols, Henry and Annalise, and Henry wins immunity, so it's obviously going to be Annalise. She can't super idol herself. Okay, a couple of other things that I just wanted to say about Monday night's episode. First thing, looks like the producers expected that Ziggy would not play the super idol because the votes were arranged for Jonathan to read all the Annalise ones, and then she had her idol, so they wouldn't be like counted, and then the next person whose name came up would get voted out. But Ziggy used it, so it was kind of like Annalise. Next person voted out a survivor. Annalise. And also, when did all this beef come up? Like, who went shopping for mints and brought this beef to the camp? And Henry's like bringing up all this shit about Annalise being a flipper, and everyone's like, yep, she is. I'm like, is she? And when Ziggy was voting out Annalise when she was writing it down, she was like, I never trusted you from the beginning. Since when? And that brings me to Tuesday's episode. I'm just going to come right out and say it. That episode was the best episode of this season. It was better than any episode of last season, and probably one of the best episodes for me of Survivor in general. It was such a good episode, like, right? It's definitely been a theme that whenever someone at the start of an episode acts really, really confident, seems like they're the one that's going to go. So at the start of the episode when Henry was all like, oh yes, I'm making big moves, I'm super happy with my position, I've got an idol, I'm untouchable, it was kind of like, oh, is there going to be a blindside? So Luke's been saying he's the top of everything, confident, blah, 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 and he's fine. So maybe it's everyone except Luke. So we had the Survivor auction, and from the Survivor auction we had Tessa winning, blah, 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 and taking Michelle and Luke, because he won it as well, to the Champagne Alliance. And we had Sarah looking really pissed off, and Henry like, ooh, did you see that stare? Girl, I'm going to use that stare to get rid of Tessa. And then after the ad break, we come back, and then there's Sarah being like, yeah, I'm just playing around, and I was Shook. Ow. Golden Globes who? Meryl Streep who? And the Oscar award goes to Sarah. Slight note of confusion though. In that scene when she was saying that she was just acting, she definitely said something about doing it so that Henry doesn't think that she's been talking to Tessa. And I was kind of like, when has she been talking to Tessa though? Like, there's this whole other side of alliances and strategic conversations happening that we're just not getting a look at. And I feel like that's really key to what's going to happen later on. So maybe there'll be something happening between those two. I don't know. We'll see. So then we had the 4 members of the Champagne Alliance. And we have Luke, Michelle, Tessa, and the Champagne. The Champagne is key to that Champagne Alliance. Such a good move for Tessa to take Michelle. You know, she fucked up on Sunday when she was like, oh, you're on the bottom of the alliance. But now she's got this opportunity to really rope Michelle in over champagne and pizza, me, and also have Luke there. Because, you know, Luke's always down for some shit. He's always down to, like, stir the pot. He's always cooking. He's always cooking something up in that kitchen of his. After a few champagnes, Michelle's like, Henry's got an idol. And Tessa's like, what? Ziggy's got an idol. Henry's got an idol. We got to take them down. So initially she was going for Lockie, but now she's like, we got to take homeboy Henry out. And Luke's like, I'm down for some shit. And Michelle's like, I'm ready to start a fight. But then, you know, you got to be rational in these kind of things because, you know, they want to build up suspense. But you're like, okay, I doubt it's going to happen. You know, I kind of want it to happen, but I doubt it's going to happen because there's only 3 of them. That's 3 out of 10. And then we come back and Sarah's telling Jericho that Henry lied to him about the idol, that Annalise told her that Henry has the idol, and that's the clue that Henry gave to Jericho.
Mother trucker.
So in the back of my head while all of this was happening, I still was thinking there's potential that Tessa could go here. The numbers might not add up and she could potentially go. And then she wins immunity. And I was like, whoa. I went from a Stanalise to... Okay, help me out here. What do I call... If I'm a fan of Tessa, what am I called? So going to Tribal Council, I'm always nervous. Going to Tribal Council. But this particular episode, I was like, boy, I'm shook. I want this to go down. I want Henry to go. I'm unsure what's going to happen. This is too spicy for me to deal with. Will they stuff up? Will Jonathan ask too many leading questions like he did last season? Everyone's trying to play the game of, you know, not giving away too much. He's asking Tessa these pointed questions. He's asking Michelle these questions about flipping. And Michelle's like... you know, blah, 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 blah. Michelle's killing it at Tribal Council. Literally everything she says at Tribal Council to me, it's gold. I know to the general viewer on the Facebook page, they can't stand her, but I stan her. As soon as Henry heard his name come up, you could just see him. He was like, oh, shit. We did have Lockie saying to Henry, play the idol, just before he ran out of time to play the idol. And I wasn't sure at the time if he meant play it for yourself or play it for me, because Lockie may have thought he was going. But then I read somewhere that Jericho had told Lockie that Henry might not be safe, and then based on that, Lockie was telling Henry to play it for Henry. And then afterwards, you kind of just see their faces at Tribal Council, and you just see Ziggy like, oh shit, I messed up. So for Player of the Week, I've written down Tessa, and I put in brackets shaky start because she did. On Sunday night's episode, she messed up by telling Michelle that she was at the bottom of the alliance. But in terms of, you know, challenge performance, strategy on Monday and Tuesday, I think I stand by putting Tessa as my Player of the Week. So now in terms of rankings, you know, I completely messed these up last week and I'm probably going to do the same this week. My number 9 is Ziggy, and I wrote down she chose wrong, lol. Number 8, I've got Lockie. You know, they know he's a challenge threat. Same as Ziggy, he's in a bad spot. Not really sure how he's going to flip it. Maybe he might be able to get something going with Tara, but I don't know. 2 out of 9 is not a great number. Number 7, I've got Luke. I wrote down in brackets king to mayor. In the preview for the next episode, it's got him saying that I'm the mayor of this tribe. You know, maybe that's symbolic. He went from king to mayor, and maybe that means he's going to go. I don't know. Number 6, I've got Michelle, Champagne Queen. I don't think she's going to go, but I also think she's not in the best position out of everyone, if that makes sense. Number 5, I've got Tessa. You know, I definitely think she's getting a winner's edit, but it might be too much too soon. Same with Henry. We're kind of getting what Henry had last week, maybe is what we're getting with Tessa this week. Number 4, I've got Peter. Next to it, I've written down unsure, but I'm also unsure why I did that, because maybe he should be down a few spots. I guess I put him there because I don't think he's a target. Number 3, I've got Sarah. You know, I definitely think she's getting a winner's edit. Mind you, the last person who I thought was getting a relative winner's edit, Jared, went, and the next person, Annalise, went. So I don't want to say that I'm going for Sarah just in case she goes. But I am going for Sarah. So if you can do basic maths, that means there's 2 places left. Wow, that was so sassy. Number 1, I have Jericho. Number 2, I have Tara. So before you roast me, this is why I think that. Tara, I think, is a bit of a take her to the end because I think I can win against her kind of vibe. And Jericho, you know, I think he's kind of just under the radar, I guess, but still making moves, making all those war references. I wonder who he will be in this war. Will he be the winner? Will he be the victor? I guess we'll see. So that wraps up this week's video. My mouth is foaming because I'm talking really fast, so I'm gonna stop now. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like. Make sure you comment who your power rankings are, or if I missed anything in terms of a recap from the episode, let me know. Also, on the live streams, I've pushed them back a bit because uni is super hectic and I can't really add another thing to worry about. Also, if you're not subscribed already, make sure you subscribe. I think I'm around 450. I don't know if I've hit it yet, but 450 people's a lot. Like, that is a lot of people. Now that I think about it, that's like 2 lecture theatres. That's crazy. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm sorry I look like a 90s rapper, and I will see you soon. Bye!